Namaste and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth, the study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. Don't ever call the history from Vedas, Puranas, and Mahabharata Ramayana as mythology. Like most of people may be making you understand, mythology means fake. And no connotations, no denotations, because when the academics read the word mythology, they exactly mean what I'm telling you. Otherwise, they won't say Islamism mythology or Christianism mythology or Judaism mythology. Only they reserve this term for Buddhism and Sanatan Dharma. So, and also don't use the word ism for Hindu culture. No Hinduism. You call it Sanatan Dharma or the Hindu culture, and that's how you represent properly. For the academics, I'm saying the world has been colonized further by the scientists and the academics, especially American and European, because these people, they drive the narrative. Social media is in their control, and we are speaking in English so that every one of them can hear clearly and understand clearly what we are saying. So I have a very, very special guest today. So let us welcome Shri Rupa Bhaty.
Namaste, Aditi ji.
Namaste. Welcome back after a long time.
After a long time, ji.
So the cyclones and the internet connections, everything affected our communication. Huh?
Yes, exactly. For last few days, we were having just a sudden storms coming up. Yeah,
So,
thunder.
so today's topic is very interesting, and this topic was chosen by Rupa Bhaty ji. So, with due credit to her. Now, coming to the languages, has been my pet subject for a very long time. But so generally, we see the languages were imposed on South America. They speak Spanish or Portuguese, and due to some efforts by the local leaders, Mexico has done a fabulous work by promoting local dialects and local languages, Nautal, but they still have to do much more to promote the local scripts as well, whether it's a pictorial or not. Chinese use pictorial scripts, that is also a script. And the Peru has done a fabulous work. Brazil is totally colonized, no work on this. Bolivia has no work. Chile has done nothing. In fact, they have the largest native population in South America, done nothing. And it's a shame on those countries who are not doing anything. Because if you speak colonized language, you are going to act like colonized. And what you can do, we are speaking in English language so that Americans can understand and also Europeans can understand, so that we clearly communicate what we are saying. So tell me, what is the politics of languages in the campuses first, before we get into the history?
Okay, so coming to a very simple word language, people think that this has suddenly appeared. The language suddenly appeared, and uh, such kind of theories also goes on and on. But to understand why language, why humans and Homo sapiens use language, it's to communicate. But communication of what? Thoughts, some innate mental structures uh, need some kind of communication, and for that we need language, and that is something like creation of words through the morphemes, for which uh, I think, and even many of the researchers think, that we are born with the faculty inside our mouth, which produces different sounds, and likewise the shabda, the words get formed and we can communicate. So now, in that matter, the academics, as you asked, uh, what is going within that frame? What are the thoughts of different researchers and different writers? So, a German philosopher, Immanuel Kant, held that the languages are the result of mental structures and very innate mental structures, as I said earlier. Also.
You have to
And
be louder, a little bit louder. The voice is very low.
okay, okay, okay. So, uh, and then there is another American linguist, Noam Chomsky, and he contends that language is a biologically determined ability that is specific to humans only, and it is hardwired into the design of the human brain. So, to add to this, now when it is hardwired into the human brains, we have the faculties present in our mouth to speak about. Another influential thinker in the history of language is the French philosopher Rene Descartes. In his work, Discourse on Method, he argues that language was a product of human reason and the result of a deliberate process of invention. So, according to Descartes, humans created language as a means of communicating abstract ideas and concepts that could not be conveyed through simple gestures or sounds. So, if we look to the animal kingdom or the bird kingdom, they certainly make sounds, and within their family, they are able to communicate. But that doesn't make sense to us. Likewise, our languages don't make sense to them. So these simple gestures or sounds within the family definitely works. And these are the abstract ideas. Why these abstract ideas come into being? So mm, for that matter, again, another philosopher, uh, Frederick uh, Frederick Nishu once wrote, "There is a great ladder of religious cruelty, and at the top of it is language." So, indeed, the origin of language are intimately tied to our deepest beliefs and aspirations as human beings. And it continues to inspire and fascinate and wonder in those who seek to understand them. Yet the biggest question remains is about the origin of language. So today, what we are focusing is about the origin of language. So one such information about the origin of language in the form of myths come from the Tower of Babel. So the memory of language being the only one on earth is present in this myth. Again, we are coming to why it is called myth. It records that they have migrated from the east. They came upon the plain land called Shinar, and they settled there. So Hebrew, they remember this after deluge. There was a deluge, and after that they remember this, that somebody came from the east and brought the language there. Now, if we think from the Indian perspective, we know one phrase which goes on and on, which is known as Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, or Yatha Brahmande Tatha Pinde. And if you think about the rituals that goes within our culture, like if you have to do the immersion of your ashes or your loved one's ashes after the death, you go to Ganges, Ganga period, and there you submerge. So this is a kind of going back to the roots, and or going back to your own self, such kind of philosophies which are already present about the Atman and things. In the physicality also, we have such kind of things going back to our own native place, and people don't forget the native places. So likewise, do we have some kind of an imagery or knowledge, which or some kind of uh, a little knowledge, something like this Tower of Babel, uh, in Indian text that takes us back to the place where the origin of language could have been taken place. So, I came across a very interesting gazetteer of Rajasthan, where Mr. Carnegie records an event of dispersal from Chittor, Rajasthan, about a migration to have taken place, much resembling the account usually given of the building of the Tower of Babel. And this has been recorded during the late 18th century and early 19th century. So it's something very interesting that the initial gazetteering when it was done, and this was recorded there. So some tables from the Chittor resembled exactly to the Tower of Babel. Now, about this account, nothing much is found in other texts or books or any kind of memory which any researcher must have recorded. But this is only present in the Rajasthan Gazetteer, and one can go and read about Carnegie's record there. So now we have a few things. Now we are trying to understand what language is, why language came into being. It's for communication, and communication for what matter, communications. So people think it could have been a very recent phenomenon. So coming to Rig-Veda, which is the first repository of knowledge about ancient things. One is the origin of Vaj. So this talk, in this we would like to focus on Vagambrini's mantras on Vaj, which comes in 10th mandala, I think. It comes in 10th mandala, and 125th hymn it comes. So we will discuss a little about it and again come back to Tower of Babel and Chittor's ethnographic memory, which is recorded in the.
Rupaji is very soft voice, can't hear.
Is it so? I just
Now
closed
you're
it.
normal. Now you're normal. You get
Okay.
lost in the middle, you know.
Okay.
Soft,
Okay.
too soft.
Ji. So, any entity of the universe to have a language would require a vastu, vishaya, and karaka, which plays in a particular event. So, what kind of particular events Homo sapiens or humans may have come across? For that matter, they required a language. So, this would converge us towards modern human behavior. So, what's modern human behavior? It's like burning of corpse, fishing, hunting, figurative art, systematic use of pigments such as ochre or jewelry for the ornamentation or decoration, using of bone materials as tools. I'm talking about something of the remote past, and we will come how towards the contemporary times how languages impact on us. So the transport of resources from long distances, then axe technology, blade technology, and many distinct artifacts which are being produced by Homo sapiens. and the herds, and that is where the Agni is to be preserved. Initially it was so much important to preserve because they were not able to like lit it every time. So the preservation of Agni, and because of that, so many philosophies of yajna and things came up, not only in India but also in Persia and abroad. Then housing, of course. So even the housing is so old in India. It's like uh, if you go by the archaeological records, the Rivat site 55 has the wall footing in a very particular manner with one hearth also, and it is said to be coming from 45,000 before present. So 45,000 years before present, we started with Vastu. So if the word is coming in Rig-Veda itself, so one can imagine how old it is. So all these Vastu have Vishaya and they have Karaka. And for that matter, the sentences come into being and the meaning becomes imperative to know the meaning of those sentences. And these sentences are preserved in Rig Veda, which is the most oldest stand. And coming back to again the speech, that is the Vaj, which is very interesting in Vagambrani mantra, where it says that it has its birthplace in the midst of waters. And where the word yonir apsanta samudre, the word comes, which means that the midst of water is the place where she is born. So the Vach is the deity of this mantra, and Vagambrini is praising the deity for that matter. Now, usually the mantra is being associated with the primal waters. Now, we also, by scientifically, we know now that the voice or the noise or the shabda, they don't travel in vacuum. But there are researchers that some kind of traveling is there. But still, the major medium is water and air. So the atmosphere is there. So the next mantra says the same thing, that I breathe forth like the wind, giving form to all created worlds beyond the heaven, beyond this earth. So vast I am in greatness. So when she expresses this view, we understand that the Shabda is Nitya and has always been there in the atmosphere. And those Shabda are the knowledge, and probably the Homo sapiens tapped those knowledge even during those times when they are using the stone tools. So for the stone tools, I have written so many blogs, and one can go to my blog and read that how the Acheulean culture or the Swannian culture is so much present in Rig-Veda. So we are talking about the times when the things were not as modern as today's time, and yet it has all those knowledge that they're carrying a kind of a memory that the language appeared in amidst of waters. Now, going back to more deeper into it, the Aitareya Brahmana comes with the sentence Vag Vai Saraswati. So Vagambrini hymn is for Vaj, and Vaj is associated with Saraswati, and till to this date we revere the language or the communication, the knowledge to Saraswati. And Saraswati Puja is all about having this knowledge of the language. So the Atirya Aranyaka says that Yavat Brahma Vishishtam Tavati Vak. And again, Rigveda in 8th mandala says Vacha Virupa Nityaya. And this word Nityaya comes why? Because one doesn't know when it began. So the same contention is being carried by the new researchers also. They don't know when the language came into being. But very much they are concerned about whatever the modern human behavior we talked about. They need communication. If you are making tools in a trade form in such a huge amount, then and you're trading it, you're making a tool at one base and you're transporting it to some another place, and such kind of a tool, you suddenly find that it is present at that era in the whole earth. Wherever you go, you will find a kind of a shulyan tool in the Siberian area, or or Americas, or Southeast Asia, or anywhere you take, and you will find that the similar type of tools is present in Andhra, as well as it is present in the Son River areas. So it's something very interesting to understand that how the whole of Earth gets similar kind of tools during that time. So definitely they were communicating, and they were communicating the how to chip it, the technology, and they were communicating. Just like in today's time, we are communicating our technologies to the other world. So we were completely connected, kind of civilization from a very beginning. Um, Even during those times when uh, there was too much of aridity, Pleistocene times, which was seeing so many haphazard climatic changes, what we are seeing today also. So, in overall, it says that Vagvai Saraswati, and we connect with, if the Vagambrini mantra is trying to say something to us, is it trying to say this, that the first language appeared near Saraswati area? So now the theory is built that okay, we can associate, because but and Kurukshetra and these areas were very much near to Saraswati and Yamuna, and probably Drishavati and all. And probably the languages started to spread from there, and then we have a myth of Tower of Babel, which again they have a memory of 26,000, 27,000 years. And the Sumerian culture, they have such memories that their civilization is that old. It's not about what the West has thought about the Sumerian culture, but it is from their own text which is telling this. It says very particularly, it says these many years, month, days, and hours, and they're very specific about it. Not like us, but we are based on the nakshatras and this thing, and because of the many cycles, we may have lost where uh, we have begun from. But then still again, we have a hint in Rigveda about Arjuni and Falguni, and again we have hint of Ashwinis. We have hint of Twashta, Twashtri, and likewise so many nakshatras are present there in Rigveda itself. Now, we may discuss another time the Aparusheyatva of Rigveda, when they say there are so many on the Twitter and everywhere. They come up with the idea that, okay, this was Aparusheyatva. No Purush has uh, created these sentences. And I believe in that. I do believe in that. But if you want to communicate something, you again need language. So Rigveda is called Chando Bhasha also. So it's a language only and the spoken language only, which was used to store the mantras. So mantras are something like if in today's scientific world, we need a language to define some kind of, let us say E is equal to mc square. So it has a scientific language. But then we have E, M, C, and square. So some mathematical connotation is there, and the phonemes are there. The akshara, the letters are there, which can be spoken. If I'm saying E, so I have to write it in that form, and that is present. But we have defined it in our way. Similar is the Rig-Vedic mantras. Whatever was happening during their time, the then letters, phonemes, morphemes were used to store those mantras. So if the Rigvedic drishtas would have been in our times, so they would have been having many scientific languages for them to express it. Likewise, they were expressing so many things, and even the numerical numbers 3339 and so many things they have already discussed it there in the mantras. So basically, that has a science with it, the Rigveda, but they were capturing it in the then language, the language that they were using. Sorry for the disturbance. So, so it again going back to Saraswati region, and that is the most revered region in Rigveda. And from there, the journey may have started. And this myth, again, like the flood myth, may have crossed across the boundaries of Indian pan-India of those times. And this language, the origin of language probably may have some idea from the myths of Mesopotamia or the Bible, whatever the Shinar, the word these come in Bible also. So somehow I feel that the language origin also started from here itself, and it spreaded across the world, something like Sharkara, which spreaded to till Germany as sugar, Zuckerberg, if you just taking one example about how the language may have spread it. So
I'll add here
today
one thing. Yes.
yeah.
So the river which you mentioned, Drishdoti, so people can understand, Drishdoti river flows through Pehua village of Haryana. And it is one of the villages, goes south towards near, it goes a little bit north of Gurgaon, so down it goes. And below the Saraswati river and the Drishdoti river is considered the ideal Kurukshetra. And Kurukshetra is made up of 5 districts: Jind and Karnal, Kathal, Kaithal, and Kurukshetra district itself. So there are 5 districts which make up the complete Kurukshetra, which is almost comes out to be 1,600 square kilometers, sorry. Now, coming to the question here. Now, if you look at the Bhagavad Puran and Vedas, now because I'm reading Vedas also nowadays and doing research for my new book, which is coming out very soon, which has all these details. Ma supposed to be the origin of the Akshara. Akshara has 2 meanings, Chara, Akshara. So people can refer that in Bhagavad Gita. What is Chara, which means which dies. Akshara means never dies. The spiritual world is also known as Akshara. So Vaikuntha is known as Akshara, where there is no death. So the letters, 3 letters, are also called Akshara, means which can never go away from anybody's tongue. Even African will say Auma, even a European has to say Auma, which Europeans will always say no, because they make as A and U as U and M as Ma. So very incomplete language. So now Akshara cannot go away. So my question to you is that despite, so animals have language, they communicate in their own way, and generally ma is common across any living being, whether it's an animal or a bird. You can, they may not speak like you and me, but this thing. So, but the, especially with the humans, when we talk about humans, now in the Purana, Veda, Itihas, Ramayana, Mahabharata Itihas, very commonly mentioned places in Central Asia. So it has been proved now by many scholars, reputed scholars, may not be European, may not be American. Reputed scholars has proved that Genghis Khan was not Muslim. He has proved it because he was shaman from Mongolia. Shaman means Hindu culture, believing in nature. Like a lot of Rig-Vedic mantras can be applied to those prayers. You will be shocked to say what they pray and what is actually the prayer in Rig Veda will be so common. And according to me, all the four Vedas came together, and this is my analysis. I may be totally wrong, but this is my analysis. So and now it is conclusively I've documented it also how they came together, because Vyasdev says it, and so he says it because he told 4 disciples. Now, and the my question to you is the history of language. I mean, why there is no Indian research on it? We are all referring to somebody in the biblical one. We all know, many saints, Prabhupada and many other contemporary saints have proved that Bible was not a historical document. And if Bible is not historical document, then most of the Abrahamism culture is not historical document. But there is no Indian scholar proving it. We are quoting them to prove our point.
We are stuck up here because of as I said, aparushayatva. When Rigveda comes with this word aparushayatva, there is a kind of resistance to understand the language of Rigveda, what it's trying to tell us. So actually, this concept came up because of a contention by the Mimamsakas that people were like in today's time, like the Western academicians, they take up Rigveda and then they try to decipher it or translate it. And when they translate it, it appears to us Indians like as if they are just doing Baba Black Sheep kind of thing. And the mantras appear then to be very simple. They don't have much content in it, and the translations are going a little very vague in that way. And in the Indian context, we already had this Shad Darshanas, which were interpreting Rigveda in their own ways. So the text was one, but the darshanas, the philosophies behind that one text were many. So we never came to a kind of a conclusion. It appears to me that how to go back to the roots of language, even in our tradition. So there are questions, they are still remaining there. That why such concept? So the concept was very clear that we should not tamper the text. So because of non-tampering of the text, because of the word of Porushetva, we retained that. But again, this same word, the Porushayatva, the Porushayatva Vad, is hampering us to go beyond to understand what Rigveda is trying to say. And it has the most oldest knowledge as the King Brihadrata, which I came up with, and it is present in Rigveda also. It is present in the Maitreya Aranyaka Upanishad also, which is again one Maitreya's Brahmanas one part. So the Brahmanas are nothing but they are the elaborations on Rigveda or the Vedas. Like Tetere is for Yajurveda and likewise Rigveda is Atharya. These Brahmanas have the knowledge of the past era in a very specific way. It is not at all vague. If you pick up Taittiriya Brahmana, you have cycles and cycles of nakshatras knowledge there. And from 28 to it became 27, that is also recorded there. Kritikas are experiencing different season, that is also recorded there. And the Brahmanas are enjoined with injunctions, the Vidhi Vakyas, to praise Rig-Vedic mantra. And what has to be done when? It is prescribed there. And which one has to be negated? It has been prescribed there. Why it has to be negated? It has been prescribed there. So there, the Vidhi Vakyas, the Artva, the Anuvadas, everything is present there. Yet we held back because we are not reading the Shad-darshanas. We are not imbibing the truth from there with the Vakyas and Mimamsa, Paribhashas and all. And that is why we don't know much about, and we get stuck up with, okay, this is Aparushayatva is there, so how can we, and still UNESCO is saying that the Rig-Veda is the oldest extant available and we have to preserve it in any way. And yet we find that, okay, we again sideline it and then we come to the PIE thing and Proto-Indo-European, and we're trying to find out the steppe kind of a thing from where the language may have come to India, to chariots and all and whatnot. But everything has a precursor. It's not that the chariot was only going on during 3000 or 4000 BCE. It may have been done during 26,000 BCE or 30,000 BCE or 40,000 BCE. They must have tried it. Something like Aristotle had tried with drawings of helicopter or choppers like that. So your question is valid, that why Indians are not taking up, and the answer lies in Rig-Veda, and we don't want to touch it. So it's our moral duty that we should be away from that and we should not touch it, because that is something very sacred. And because of that, nobody reads Brahmana in today's time. It appears that only I am reading Brahmana whenever I see myself in Twitter or my blogs and things like that. Only cherry-picked few of the verses are being taken by so many researchers, and year after year as references. The same thing is found in everyone's research. You take any research and you will find the same Brahmana, same verse is taken by for last 100 years. They are taking the same thing and they're doing the research on that.
Well, Indian research is always by the weight of the papers, not by the actual content. Some people can do research in 2 papers also, 2 pages, but some people cannot do research even in 1,000 pages. I know that. Like they just make a stack of book and they get the PhD. It's like a pass high school with difficulty maybe, or permanent head damage after that. And they're not worth even journaling also. Like many of the research papers I was reading, One person copied my entire book in his research.
Okay.
And and believe me, they are liable for lawsuit if any university passes it. So I may do it or not, but that fear is always there with that researcher should be there because he has copied my book completely. And I'm saying it very publicly, and it's a warning as well for people who are doing it. Uh, Another thing is like the see the thing is India is a country of 1.4 billion people, and Indian academics have let India down. Indian Department of Education, Indian Ministry of Culture, Indian academics, many universities of India have let Indians down because they have not yet challenged the Western universities because they thought always that by being affiliated to Harvard or Yale or Stanford or Berkeley, you are a great. I mean, if you have a scholarly consensus, that means you're right. But it has been proved by us in Sattology that most of the crap that is being taught in the American schools about Sanatan Dharma is coming from these universities. Maybe not all professors are like that, but majority of them are like that. Why would a Christian pastor run Hindu studies in Harvard? Why would a Christian pastors run Hindu studies in Berkeley? Why would Christian pastors run Hindu courses in Stanford University? Either they should all convert, take Diksha in some Sampradaya, then teach. But if they're not doing that, then they're doing disservice and cheating American people generally. And Europeans have no academic system left. And I'm saying it very openly. Oxford University, Cambridge University, I'm taking all the big names, that most of these universities must be sanctioned by the Indian government for misrepresenting Vedic knowledge and all their funding be withdrawn. So they are using $1 trillion of funds to spread fake news. And we are quoting these scientists. And I don't know who is called a scientist in the West today. Probably only Elon Musk is left. But at least he's just focusing on rockets. That's it. So he's the only one left now. Now, my question to you is last question actually. What is the solution to stop the misrepresentation of language history? Because they ultimately Europeans will say they all came from Africa, and I have to ask them, where is the African hair you have? Where is your African skull? Anthropology 101. Where is your fingers like Africans? Or majority of Europeans think today they all came from Genghis Khan. At least Hindus, we know that we don't come from Genghis Khan. In fact, Genghis Khan, if everybody is a child of Genghis Khan, that all the Europeans should be Hindu now. No more Christianity. Christianism, sorry. No more Christianism. Why? So what is the solution to this debauchery of history of language by the West?
I think we need mentoring actually, and for that matter, we need to create a format how we have to mentor our own system of education. So that is what is required, I think, and uh, nothing much more comes into my mind because everything in India is like they're sleeping right now.
Rupaji,
Uh,
I have written 12 books. Not a single Western author has been quoted, and not a single time. Because, if somebody tells me XYZ name and little bit I read about him, like the biggest icon of Western civilization, Aristotle. And by the way, he's not a Christian, he's a Greek. So, and so pre-Christian history has been taken up as Western history. Then why not everybody convert back to Greekism? Maybe, so I've not quoted a single one. So, but I'm shocked. And I have not even quoted a single name in the Western research also. I use their findings if they are right. If they're not right, we reject it. Because apple falling from a tree, even a small child can know it. And many people have documented in Indian literatures, very Vedic cultures, many people document it. So what is the solution finally?
As I said, that we need some kind of a format for mentoring of the our own academia. And जैसा आपने कहा, as you said that you didn't quote anyone. I would rather say that you have to quote them as a Purva Paksh and then you have to rebut it completely. And this is the only way where we can stop the Western academia by committing some kind of a very vague mistakes that they are doing. Actually, the
My
documentation.
my counter logic is like, if I quote them, then
No,
I'm
it's
already,
not quoting. It's not about quoting. We have to take them as Purva Paksha and then we have to rebut them with all the evidence. Whatever we have to rebut them. So, scientific
bad
paper,
publicity is also publicity. Not even quote them for rebuttal. We don't need that rebuttal also, because see, you waste your time in rebuttal somebody.
we need to show the two parts. Something like, let us take one example. Nityanand Mishra ji came up with a foreword for Raja Ram Mohan Rai's book, which is a rebuttal to Nilesh Ji's book. Now, take it in a very rational way. The book has come, okay, fine. The rebuttal has been done, okay, fine. But what is the theory? The theory of the book is completely absent. So, should anyone even buy that book and read it without a theory? It is only saying true or false. It is saying that, okay, Ramayana was not happening during 12,209. The Ram Ravan Yuddha was not happening during that time. Fine. Then what is your theory? What are your proposals? And how you rebut that? You cannot say that it is not happening that time and Chaitra means Vasant only. And you can never utter this that Chaitra was always a Vasant. It is happening in our times, but it was not happening 6,000 years ago or even 3,000 years ago, which you assume to be a Kali Yuga. So the thing is that to rebut, you need to go through the whole of the philosophy of Nyaya. And you have to take all those evidence and then rebut it. You cannot just simply go and say it is false and therefore it should not be read. And everywhere, Nilesh ji has taken Chaitra at Sharad, which is wrong. Okay, it is wrong. Then what is right? Okay, Chaitra was happening in Vasant. Fine. At what point of time it was happening? It is happening during 500 CE or our times. Even our times is experiencing the same thing. So likewise, we have to take up all the fallacies of Western world, the academia, and we need to rebut it in a very strong way. And that is how we can fortify our own texts. We can save our own text. Otherwise, it is going to become Baba Black Sheep only for them.
No, we are now, if America goes to moon, we are going to sun now. ISRO is launching a sun mission. So we are in a different way.
Everything is correct. But to save our history from them, it is very much required.
So all the
So,
people who are listening to this show, I am challenging all the Indian academics now and all the university professors with the fancy PhD degrees, that is your job. And otherwise you're colonizing Indians further. And
exactly.
and you have to take up the job, because me and Rupa Bhaty ji, we are private people. We are just interested people. Well, you can say the fans of Vedic knowledge. We
Exactly.
don't have those fancy degrees of PhD. At least I don't have. And but we are writing books to inspire you to do something more courageous than that. And also Ministry of Education of India to challenge and de-recognize centers of misinformation such as Harvard and all these universities names I took. So we'll stop here,
Exactly.
Rupaji. We'll continue for the next show. So,
Sure, sure.
and I know you have shared valuable, but people generally have less attention span. But all our videos are 1 hour. People love them still. So we have broken the myth that short videos run. So we have long videos, and all videos are long. We have. In fact, our short videos don't work very well. So So thank you very much, and for all the viewers, and I apologize if I was very hard on some things, but I stand by what I said. You can read it in my books also. So namaste and thank you. Namaste, Rupa ji.
Thank you. Thank you so much.